Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I have a special guest on the episode with me. I've got Patricia Crisafulli, and we're going to be talking about writing, self-confidence, and much, much more, including some of her characters and her journey in her writing career as well. So Patricia has a special mission, and her special mission is to help people discover and embrace the story of their lives and uncover the extraordinary within the ordinary. So welcome to the show, Patricia.
Thank you, Johnny. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you as well. So I'm excited about our conversation. So I know I love writing, and I know you've written and you love writing. So my kind of first question really, what got you inspired to be a writer, and perhaps a little bit about your story and your mission, a few highlights from that?
Love to. So I wanted to be a writer all my life. It started literally when I was 7 years old, and I used to tell myself stories, right? And I would have these epic ideas in my head. And one day I sat down at my dad's desk and I printed this wonderful story in my head, and it was 4 sentences long. So clearly there was more to this, but I remember the kind of the magic of that something that was in my imagination could be captured in paper. So fast forward many, many years, my writing career, my desire to be a writer took me first into a journalist, and everything from local papers to going to New York and then Chicago and working for Reuters and being a pretty serious business journalist. And then I became an author in nonfiction. Nothing wrong with nonfiction. It was great. I had a few books there, some leadership books. I was co-authoring a few, but fiction, the art of storytelling, always called to my heart. And I needed to learn this craft, and it's different than the nonfiction craft, not better, just different. And what that required me to do was 2 things. Number one, give myself permission at an age when people aren't really often starting off on new things. I got an advanced degree. I went back to school for an MFA at Northwestern University at the age of 52. And it's a 5-year program that then produced a creative thesis, and then that became a novel, and then had to rewrite. All this has taken me to the launching of my debut novel. It's hard to say this, at the age of 62. But if you don't admit it, it becomes a negative, and it's not a negative. So I am living, breathing proof. Honestly, it is a journey. And number 2, it's never too late. There's never a perfect age to stop or start. Just go for it. If it's there, one step after the other, because it is, I know it's a cliche, but it really is a journey, and it's a process. And in the process of getting better at the craft, I had to go deep within about permission to myself, giving myself permission, self-esteem, self-confidence, and when is no a no, and when is no just a not yet.
Wow. And and I can certainly tell by your energy, it's something that excites you and really lights you up. So I'm really, really pleased to hear you've gone down that direction. So so could you tell us a little bit about what your latest book's about that you've been writing?
It's so fun because it's called The Secrets of Oneida Harbor, and it's a mystery, a classic mystery. I kind of call it Nancy Drew for adults. But The Secrets of Oneida Harbor is set in a small town in northern New York State, and it's the discovery and the uncovering of the extraordinary in the midst of the ordinary. It's a typical murder mystery, but the part that I think makes my stories different is that, and it's a metaphor, and it's also a symbol for all of us in our lives. There is an artifact. There is a thing that's lost in history that needs to be found, that needs to figure out where it belongs. And my protagonist, who is a librarian, a researcher, an authenticator, it's her job, it's her quest to figure this out. And that's how The Secrets of Oneida Harbor unfolds. And what does that might sound like is a mystery? Every mystery is the hero's journey. It's what we all embark on in our own lives. And it's what my protagonist, Gabriella, what she has to confront and embrace in the authentication. What this story is, lots of twists and turns and whodunits and surprises and all the things you'd expect in a mystery. And I think people will find it enjoyable and entertaining. But I also hope that they see that little deeper theme that pops up here and there about Gabriella giving herself permission, Gabriella confronting her self-esteem and her self-confidence issues, and every single person, because it's the unwitting heroes who are the stars of the show. The guy who lives under the bridge, the guy who gets himself in trouble, the person who's in the background, the person who considers themselves outside the mainstream. All of us have these feelings at times. Some of us might identify with that. And that's really, I think, the heart and soul of The Secrets of Oneida Harbor.
Wow. Yeah, I like the hidden message you've got there as well. So, or not, maybe not so hidden, depends how much you look into that meaning, really, and finding the extraordinary in the ordinary day-to-day lives. So perhaps for someone who's kind of like taking that on board and they're thinking, I haven't really got much special about my life. I'm just going through day to day. Is there kind of any guidance the book inspires them to start with, or have you got kind of any direction that you'd encourage them to go?
Absolutely. Thank you. A big plot point in The Secrets of Oneida Harbor is the discovery of a thing that shows up in a rummage sale donation. Okay. And that actually triggers the book. It's right there in chapter 1. It's this little, what looks like a little tchotchke. It turns out to be a little bit of a spoiler alert, but not really, a medieval artifact. Okay. And it's something that excites all of us. We read a story about, the Rembrandt that shows up in the garage sale. It's something we all hope for. We love stories about hidden treasure. And there was an article not too long ago about somebody pried up the floorboards and found a little sack of gold coins and worth 200,000, whatever. We love those stories. Why is that? Yes, it's exciting to think about something of value that we find. But I think that's the longing that we all have deep within ourselves, that there's more to us, there's more to me, there's more to you, there's more to day-to-day life. And in every single day, there is that opportunity to suddenly have something extraordinary happen. Now, there was a day when I received an email from my agent saying, you've got an offer for your book. That was a pretty amazing, extraordinary day, right? But there were little extraordinary days that led up to that. Like every time I sat down and I made progress, or I got an idea, or I had an enriching conversation. Most important, the thing that each of us have been endowed with as human beings is our curiosity. There is something, there's a mystery tugging and picking and kind of tapping on each of our brains. It might be something as, I've been looking at that street mural every time I go to my favorite coffee shop. Who painted that? Or maybe there's this old photograph in the family album and there's somebody standing behind my mom and dad, and I have no idea who it is. They could be tiny, but there's something in this curiosity that gets us interested, that kind of makes us go within. Or I've always wanted to try something, or I always wanted to do something. That curiosity, that interest is begging us, is inviting us to go deeper. And if we say yes, even with a baby step, our lives can open up. And then suddenly there's more extraordinary moments in ordinary life and more opportunities to see that we are more than what we might have put ourselves into a smaller box sometime along the line. And that helps us elevate self-confidence and elevate our self-esteem.
Yeah, I like what you said about, your example of when the book opportunity came along, but actually there was moments, those magical sort of moments of sitting down and writing it. And often we can get caught on what I picked out from that is we can get caught on like the big stuff, like that it's got to be that big special moment, but actually enjoying it as we go along the process and actually discovering those extraordinary moments are smaller things than we think sometimes. Or, well, depends how we perceive it. Could be big things, but not necessarily things you would have noticed before. So no, that's great. And is the characters from the book, are they sort of like parts of you, part of someone you know, or?
Well, I think they're all parts of me, including the bad guys. Because, we write what we know. I really do identify with my protagonist, Gabriella. She's 40, which is younger than I am, and she's a single mom, and I was that once. And I know about this, and that's what I really identify with her, and I think a lot of us will, regardless of circumstances. Her life is a constant series of spinning plates. I got home, I got my job, I got this, I got that, and she thinks she has to do it all and all by herself. And it's really self-defeating. And what she has to learn is about trusting and about reaching out, and that reaching out isn't defeat. And defeat is a big kind of setup for her, because she is where she does not want to be. This did not happen to me, but I think we've all had a circumstance in life where we go, whether it's a job or a circumstance or a physical location, where we're not where we want to be. We really think we should be someplace else. Sometimes it's the catalyst that gets us moving. Other times it's the catalyst that says, you're not perceiving everything that is here, the old bloom where you're planted. So in each of my characters, and especially Gabriella, to make them real, to make them believable, and I hope relatable, I had to reach down and say, well, what are some of their character flaws and their kind of inner demons? Whether it's, and I had so many, so many to share. With Gabriella, definitely that self-critic, that idea of belonging and what she deserves to have in her life. And I think a lot of us can kind of relate to that. What do we deserve to have? If we don't say yes to ourselves first, that yes, I have the right to pursue this, nobody else can give it to us.
Absolutely, yeah. That empowers us. It was a very empowering message. I was certainly picking up when you were saying that. And it sounds like Gabriella had, some challenges with self-esteem, self-confidence. One thing I particularly talk about on the podcast, and I've talked with many people, is this self-doubt, and it actually popping up in human beings at all different levels, shapes and forms, different backgrounds, different circumstances, whether they're, a CEO of a company or someone who's struggling to get by day to day. Is a very, very common theme. And through the self-doubt, is this something that the character dives into and pushes through the story?
Well, since she's in the crosshairs of a mystery, she doesn't really have any choice. And that's the other thing about the extraordinary. It is like, if you think about, Joseph Campbell in the mythology of our time, and needing to embrace the hero's journey. When we are thrust into something that says, you have to do this. Maybe it's something that we read about, Luke Skywalker in Star Wars is the classic hero's journey, right? You're a Jedi, congratulations. Or it's Gabriella saying, you're now an authenticator in your hometown. You're not in your dream job in New York anymore, but here you are. And by the way, this puts her in danger because this is a mystery. Or it's you and me saying, goodness gracious, I'm getting ready for your podcast and I need my A game. Or you with your next amazing adventures, as you've had so many, Johnny. Like, all of us have these moments when we have to go deep, when we have to go big, and we say, I'm enough, and I have enough, and I know. With Gabriella, and a lot of us, we may have confidence in our abilities, certain abilities, right? Intellect, experience, knowledge, know-how, network. Like, I can do that. But the self-esteem part can be the brake. While the self-confidence wants to hit the gas, the self-esteem can be hitting the brake. And I know in my life, that has been a push-pull, 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 stop-start, stop-start, stop-start. And self-esteem is the deserving part, deserving to be happy, deserving to be loved, deserving to be supported, deserving to be helped, deserving of the good things that come along. And for Gabriella, as she engages in this hero's journey, in this mystery unfolding of the authentication of the relic, of trying to solve, and help solve and stay out of the danger of, the murder mystery, and all the things that swirl around her, in the essence is, who am I? Where do I belong? Do I have what I need? Do I have what I need for my life and for my mission? I think that's a story old as human time, but also very, very applicable to these times when a lot of us have felt isolated or insulated, and maybe kind of wonder now, as life opens up and begins again physically and emotionally, where can I take this experience and help it enrich the rest of my life?
Yeah, sounds like a wonderful character, certainly, and how she's kind of looking on life and reflecting and moving forward, therefore, as a result as well. So yeah, and I like what you said about actually she's asking herself, am I deserving of this? And those are the questions that I've commonly had in myself. Those are questions that I speak to many people. So thanks for bringing them to light, really, in this book, particularly in the theme of it. So no, that's great. And one thing I wanted to touch on was you've obviously written this book, which can be, quite a daunting task, and then quite a lot to do. It can be very, very fun as well, but like at the beginning it can be, wow, I've got, there's quite a lot to do. For kind of maybe, and it sounds like it fits with the theme of the book as well, on some of the themes and that Gabriella's going through. For the kind of overthinkers out there, how did you kind of like push through that?
Oh man, overthinking. If I didn't overthink, my brain wouldn't have nearly enough to do. So I get it. Again, we always want, a lot of us are perfectionists, right? And we think we have to have everything solved and all the threads. It's simply the discipline of putting down, doing the words, doing the paragraphs, doing the pages, of just doing it. And then in the revision process, because one of my favorite quotes is, art is in the rewrite. We push it forward, we go back, we comb through. And it's like this waves on a beach. It's push, pull back, and go up a little forward, like the tide is coming in. And that kind of rhythm is how I like to work, because I'll be overthinking, oh gosh, that I use this adjective, how come I use this verb 3 times, and this, like, I can get into the weeds and the minutia way too early before I'm in that kind of draft editing. And I tell myself, it's okay, push on, keep going, keep your eye on where you want to go. Because sometimes the overthinking is good information, like you have a problem in the plot that needs to be addressed right now, right? And sometimes it's just distraction. It's some kind of self-esteem in disguise going, well, you can't do this, can you? I can't do this, can you? And I have a little trick called listening to my inner critic, which if you want, if we have time, I'll tell you about.
Oh yeah, please. No, let's move
okay.
on to it.
I have an inner critic who is the most resilient inner critic, no matter how much therapy and coaching I have done over the years. And it's a lot. And I recommend it, folks. It's the way to push through. But my inner critic just wouldn't shut up. And so finally, it was a wise coach who said to me, rather than telling your critic, sit down, you've had your say, I listened with discernment. And I said, is my inner critic raising an issue that all resonates, such as, do you have a good marketing plan? Are you on social media? Is there a lesson learned from the snarky voice that goes, how are they going to find you? You're a drop of sand on the ocean of life, right? That kind of like negative, nagging voice. Was there any wisdom to glean from it? Was there anything that the inner critic was telling me about, because that inner critic always finds the weak point. Did I need to address a weak point and see if it was good and strong and the critic would go away? Or was there, holy smoke, that was a great piece of wisdom? That's how I made peace with my inner critic. I wrote it down. I looked at it. Is there any wisdom to parse out? Took away the criticism thematically and found that my inner criticism began to go down because I began to listen with the discernment, not to cut myself to pieces, but to see if there was something getting my attention for that last little bit that could be better.
It's almost like frustration, changing that kind of frustration and conflict into almost intrigue, like fascination from it, and just thinking, what are you saying? And just kind of being a bit more present.
Beautiful. That's so well said. What are you saying? And I think that's where also the overthinking comes in, right? Because if the overthinking is just panic, then it's time to take a breath and be discerning. If that overthinking is, I'm really worried about slide 5 in my deck for the next client pitch, or the menu for this catering thing, or page 67 of my, whatever it is, right? If the overthinking is getting our attention, then address it. If it's just panic because it's an old habit, then it's the breath to calm down. I got this. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And we all deserve this. We all do. Any age, any stage, we deserve it because we have something to say, whether it's in the conversation on the written page, in a podcast, and a speech, or in an interaction at work. We have something to say. We have a story to tell, an experience, and we can enrich our own lives and others by showing that curiosity and imagination are wonderful gifts to have and to follow wherever they take us.
It's so funny you should be talking about imagination. So all the books I've been listening to recently, been talking about using that imagination to create, what you want to make real. And you've done it in the case of a book here, but there's human beings been doing it since the beginning of age, creating stuff from the imagination and being able to do that. So I'm glad you could kind of touch on that and leave us with that today. So it's really, it sounds like a really, I always love a mystery, so a really exciting and intriguing mystery book to get involved with. So where can people find your work? Is it on Amazon? Is it on your website?
Well, they can find it anywhere books are sold. So The Secrets of Oneida Harbor, Ohnita, Harbor, Harbor. You can find it Barnes & Noble and Amazon and your favorite online booksellers. Go to your local bookstore. If they don't have it, ask them to order it. Let's support our lovely local bookstores too. I always try to do that wherever I am. But it's brand new from Woodhall Press. Thank you, Woodhall Press. And thank you very much, because I hope you enjoy it. If you like a good mystery, it's a classic kind. And I think you'll find some characters that will resonate and stir up both empathy, compassion, and intrigue.
And certainly relatable characters in there as well, to really get us thinking about ourselves and where we're going in our missions. And yeah, so once again, Patricia, like a big thank you for coming on today and sharing some of these amazing insights from your book. I'm really excited. I'm gonna go order myself a copy. I'm really intrigued to find out a little bit more about them. So yeah, we'll link that up in the show notes as well. So appreciate you coming on and sharing today.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure as well.
Absolutely. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember, work on your self-confidence every single day.